What's up, guys? My name is Droven. Today I've got some more Minecraft and Reddit stories for you. I'm just going to be expanding my farm a little bit, doing some exploring. Alright, story number 1 from r/stories. My boyfriend permanently brain damaged someone and didn't go to jail. When my boyfriend was in high school, about 16, he was friends with a Mexican guy, we'll call him Jay. One day after school, they were walking home and a neo-Nazi freak ran up and hit Jay in the head with a brick, knocking him out, then started punching him while he was on the ground. My BF picked up the brick and smashed it over the back of his head, knocking him unconscious. He called an ambulance and police, and my boyfriend was taken into custody and others to the hospital. Jay woke up and had about 35 stitches on his head, but the neo-Nazi guy was in a coma for a couple months because the brick apparently hit him in just the right spot. It caused permanent brain damage. The family of the Nazi took my BF to court and tried to press charges on him, but Jay's parents were both personal injury attorneys and were able to plead his case, and he was let go with no charges. Jay still comes over from time to time for dinners about 15 years later. Just wanted to share a weird story from my BF's past that I still think about and how, while I don't condone violence, he is a hero in my mind. 100% he's a hero. Yeah, he was protecting his friend, regardless of who it was. I would do the same thing. I feel like a lot of you guys would too. Yeah, just hit someone over the head with a brick. That's insane. All right, story number 2. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my girlfriend pay off her credit card debt before we move in? I'm 30 and my girlfriend's 28. Here's my dilemma. So we've been together almost 3 years. Things have been good overall. I'm 30 and my girlfriend's 28. Here's my dilemma. So we've been together almost 3 years. Things have been good overall. We've talked a lot about the future and we're planning to move in together soon, like actively browsing apartments kind of soon. Then last week, she tells me she has around $9,000 in credit card debt. I didn't know about it before. I asked why she didn't mention it earlier, and she said it was embarrassing, and she thought she could get a handle on it before it became our problem. But here's the thing. Now she wants to delay moving in unless I'm willing to help her pay it down. She floated the idea of me covering like $300 to $500 a month to speed things up, but I told her I wasn't comfortable with that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, me too. That's a little weird. I wouldn't do that. I don't have any debt. I worked hard to stay that way. I've had my own money struggles, so I've always been careful with spending. And while I don't mind helping out here and there in a relationship, I don't think it's fair to expect me to take on someone else's financial mess, especially before we even live together. She said I was being unsupportive and that if I really saw a future with her, I'd be willing to invest in us. But to me, that's not what this is. It feels more like I'm being asked to bail her out, and I'm just not okay with that. Now things are awkward. She's barely texting back, and when we talk, she's cold. I feel like I'm being punished for setting a boundary. But I also don't want to start living together on the wrong foot, feeling like I'm financially responsible for her past choices. So, am I the a-hole for the choice that I made? No, I don't think you are. I get it. Like, if you're married and you've known about it since the beginning, like, it happens. But yeah, I would, like, that early, you're just dating, you don't even live together, like, that's weird. This next one's from r/stories. A few weeks ago, I, 22 female, wandered into a local bookstore just to clear my head. No plan, just needed a quiet place and comfort of flipping through random pages. While I was browsing, I noticed a teenage kid pacing near the Gifts for Dad table. He looked super unsure, holding a mug that said, "World's okayest dad," like it was either the best or worst decision of his life. I made a light joke, something like, "Bold choice," and he laughed, then admitted he had no idea what he was doing. He said his dad doesn't really do birthdays, but they'd recently started talking again after a rough few years and he wanted to make an effort. So we spent maybe 20 minutes walking around just chatting. He eventually picked out a leather journal and a nice pen. He writes sometimes, he said. Maybe this will feel personal without being, cheesy. I wished him luck, he thanked me, and I assumed that was that. Fast forward to this past weekend. I was in line at a little street fair when someone tapped my shoulder. It was him. He smiled and said, "You helped me find that journal." He told me his dad actually teared up when he got it. Turns out, he's been writing little letters to his son in it. They've started taking walks together once a week, talking more, just trying. It's awkward, but real. He never would have done that if I would have gone with the mug, he said, laughing. I walked into that store for a quiet moment and accidentally helped a stranger reconnect with his dad. Life is weird, but in a good way. That's actually a pretty wholesome story. You never know who you're going to affect. When something might not seem like a big thing to you, it could be huge to somebody else. If you guys have watched past videos, you understand that sometimes I pick stories with pretty outrageous titles. This next one is another good example of that. It's from r/stories. It's called "My Husband is a Human Gas Chamber." So about 3 weeks ago, I flew to South Korea for a vacation with friends who live there. My husband didn't want to go and said he'd be fine staying home and watching the dogs in the house. I trusted him because he's a 40-year-old adult man and assumed he'd be able to feed himself like a sane person, despite him possessing the cooking ability of a cactus. I was wrong. I should have dragged him and the dog along with me to another country. What my husband decided to do during his 3 weeks without me was absurd. I would have been happier if he'd cheated on me instead. Wow, that's crazy. Because what he did was order nothing but Taco Bell through DoorDash after he somehow broke my stove by cooking an entire 15-pound bag of red lentils all at once. Then he didn't bother to get a bowl for his lentils. He just ate them straight from the pot and stuffed the pot into the fridge and broke one of the shelves inside. This grown man sounds like a 6-year-old. Like, what? Now, realizing his mistake, he decided to order nothing but terrible tacos for the remaining 2 weeks while getting high on medical marijuana. Also, for some reason, he bought a bunch of honeycombs from one of our friends' fathers and decided to make a good snack, and has eaten nothing but beeswax and honey for the last few days because he's some kind of weird alien in a human disguise. Apparently, honeycombs give you gas, and lentils give you gas, and Taco Bell gives you gas. Oh my gosh. My guy is cooking up an atomic bomb. I feel so bad for his wife and his dogs. Like, bro, what are you doing? Like, you're asking for a divorce right now. Oh. So now it's today, and I'm awoken. I'm awoken by what sounds like someone revving a motorcycle in my bedroom, followed by the stench of the fiery pits of hell itself. It's 5:30 in the morning. He gets up and goes to use the toilet as I'm opening the windows in a poor attempt to ventilate the house, but it's too late. He doesn't even have a solid poop. It's just 10 minutes of gas. Like 20 seconds of nonstop farts, followed by a huge gasp of air, and then another 20 seconds of gas. Guys, I can't. By this time, oh, the poor dog. The dog has hidden under my couch because it doesn't know what those loud honking noises are and fears for its safety. I'd consider joining it, but continue to open every window in my house. It's 62 degrees and windy. The wind just blows the fart smell around the house. My husband has left the bathroom and has walked upstairs. It sounds like there's a small 2-stroke engine in his pants. Oh God. I can't take it anymore and scream that I'm going to get breakfast at the diner and leave him. I bring the dog with me because the dog follows me out of the house because it also doesn't want to be here right now. So now I'm at the diner waiting for my husband to degas himself while the dog sits underneath the table next to me wearing a pink leash kid harness that my friends bought for me as a gag gift that has my name and emotional support human on it that the waitress thought was some kind of in joke. This is the start of my morning. I hope it's not as stinky as yours. Oh my gosh, this poor lady and dog. If you've the 15 pounds of lentils is crazy in itself. But what kind of mutant wakes up, cooks 15 pounds of lentils, eats honeycombs, and then tops it off with a freaking Crunchwrap Supreme? Wow. These poor people. Somebody said, feed him activated charcoal, good absorbent of gas. Unfortunately, I decided to move to Korea permanently against better judgment and brought him and my dog along with me and have no idea where to get that over here. But for some reason, a steady diet of nothing but veggies, rice, and kimchi haven't turned his a-hole into a biological weapon and have somehow in ways I can't comprehend. That's only known to the most revered wizards, has nothing reduced the amount of stifling gas he's been producing. It was so bad during the first month, we got booted out of the apartment we were staying at and had to rent our own instead of living with friends because he managed to clock the entire floor's plumbing. But now, after like 3 months, something magical has happened and his gut is fixed. Yay. I have no words. On to the next story. Okay, this next one is from r/entitled people. Entitled woman parked on my driveway and went to work. Yeah, you're getting towed, buddy. Look out the window one morning to see a random woman parked on my driveway. For context, my parking spot fits 2 cars, but my partner usually parks there, or my parents when they come over. The first day, I thought I'd give her the benefit of the doubt, as wasn't sure if she was mistaken. She looked up from scrolling on her phone to give me a filthy look, as if to say, "Why are you staring at me?" and then made a gesture with her hand to say she's leaving. She sat for a further 5 minutes on her phone, then left. The next morning, I see the car parked again, and she's nowhere to be seen. I left a note on her windscreen asking her not to park there. After a few hours of checking out the window to see if she's come back yet, she eventually arrives with a grin on her face. I asked if she works around the area and told her it's my driveway and she can't park there. To my surprise, she says, "I know it is, and I'm using it." No, towed. Call a tow truck. You're out of here. I said you can't park there. I need it. It's my space. She said, "Well, I work around the corner and there's no parking, so I go here." I pointed to the various spots I could see, and she said she won't park there again. She ripped up my note, threw it in the drain, and then proceeded to sit on the dropped curb, giving me filthy looks before finally driving off. I'm not sure if she's going to come back, but I assume she'll try to. I've been parking diagonally to stop her from accessing it. Yeah, dude, get her towed. Next story. All right, here's another interesting title from r/confession. Hopefully it's not about somebody eating Taco Bell and lentils and mustard gas or whatever the guy was eating. As a child, I hid a bottle of vegetable oil under my bed and I've never told my mom why. Okay, what could this possibly be? One day, my mom was either looking for something or just cleaning and she looked under my bed. I was maybe 6 to 8 years old and had a habit of stuffing toys and dirty clothes and underwear under my bed because I was forced to clean my room and, well, that was the easy way to clear a bunch of junk by shoving it all under the bed. On this day, my mom is on the ground pulling all sorts of stuff out from under my bed and then she sees it. What the? And pulls out a 64-ounce jug of vegetable oil. Her face was one of shock and even a tiny bit of fear, and she was just totally weirded out. It's just a thing of vegetable oil. It's nothing to creep out about. She looked at me and questioned why and how this was under my bed. I don't remember her words, but they were something like, "WTF, this is so weird. What on earth were you doing with this?" And out of embarrassment, I played dumb and pretended I had no idea. I really freaked her out, and to this day, 30-ish years later, I've never told her why. We went to a small Pentecostal church, and they handed out prayer cloths, which were small bits of red fabric. The pastor would anoint the cloth with a holy oil and then touch it to your forehead and pray over you. I kept mine and put it in a little box, and one day I wanted to pray, but my cloth was dry. I thought it needed oil to work, so I stole the whole jug of vegetable oil out of the pantry and brought it to my room where I poured on my little cloth. I don't remember why I didn't just ask for help or why I didn't want anyone to catch me using the vegetable oil on my prayer cloth, but I put the jug under my bed until I could return it to the pantry without anybody seeing. I wonder if I brought it up if she would remember. Having kids of my own now, I can relate to my mom's reaction because kids are weird and so is their logic, and I would be totally freaked out if I found 64 ounces of vegetable oil under their bed. Yeah, your mom definitely remembers this. I would bring it up. I mean, it'd just be funny at this point, and it's not for any weird reason. Like, that's a good reason, you're praying. Okay, next story is from r/neighbors from hell. Shared backyard and a family with zero boundaries. Hi all, big rant incoming. I've lived in the same row house apartment for 5 years. A couple years ago, a family moved in next door. It's a 2-bedroom, but that doesn't stop them from having 6+ people there at all times. The landlord can't say anything as there is a law that says you can't limit the amount of minors in a space. We have a shared backyard space that they've completely taken over. They throw a party maybe 2 to 3 times a week and often go past the noise curfew. What bothers me most is that whenever they have a party, they can't just stay around their apartment's back door. They have to set everything up right outside our back door. The past few weeks, they've started stacking their stuff outside my window. I don't have a lot of stuff out there, but I'd like to be able to look out my window and not see a box of diapers or dirty shoes on my table. I've asked multiple times, and the landlord even put out a notice to not touch other people's things or move onto their property, but it doesn't stop them. We don't have harsh dividing lines that extend the whole way to the end of the backyard. Everyone just has a few steps in the general conscious to not go past, except these people. I'm at the point where I think I need a fence so they'll stop hanging out 5 feet from my window, but I don't think my landlord would go for that. How can I live like this? They're so loud, and currently I've heard Aurora by Katy Perry 15 times today because they decided to throw a kid's birthday party on my back steps, not their back steps. I think I might go crazy. Yeah, no, I would be so mad. I would just go out there and start moving the stuff. Like, no, you're not doing a party on my back porch. You have your own for a reason. Last story of the day. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad's wife she screwed her kid out of grandparents? So my 20 female dad is with his affair partner, Laura. He and Laura have a kid, Lucy, 13 female. Lucy was conceived after my dad and Laura were already together a while. Her birth wasn't the reason my parents split, in case anyone is wondering. But obviously, my dad's family knew about the affair once my parents split, and they banned Laura from ever attending family events. To this day, the only people on that side of the family that have ever met her are me and my one cousin, who came to stay with me at my dad's for a few days one time. My grandparents told Dad they'd happily be active in Lucy's life, but it would have to be Dad that facilitated the relationship, meaning he'd have to bring her to see them alone. Laura said no. I guess she thought eventually she'd force herself into the family through Lucy, but all that did was mean no one ever met Lucy. My dad would take me to my grandparents' or aunt's place without Laura and Lucy, and that was just how it went. Well, it recently came up that my grandparents were giving me money towards buying an apartment when I graduate, which set Laura off. She's always been bitter that my grandparents financed my schooling, but Dad paid for university. She was passive-aggressively grumbling at the dinner table that this is why she felt we could have asked them to pay for my university, and that it would be nice if Lucy got to have grandparents, but some people are, quote-unquote, petty and cruel. I looked at my dad like, are we really playing that game? But he didn't say anything. Then Laura turns to Lucy and goes, you should know none of this is your fault. Life isn't fair, and you got the short end of the stick with certain family members. So I just said, yeah, short end of the stick family member is you, Laura. Lucy could have the same relationship with my grandparents that I do, but you were so selfish that you screwed your own kid out of that. I agree, 100%. Laura argued that no one who hated her could have a relationship with her daughter. So I was like, well, what are you mad about then? That your principals ended up sabotaging your kid? Well, maybe that's on you. At this point, my dad was giving me a death stare, so I just went back to my food. Laura sent me a text later that night about how she didn't appreciate me saying that in front of her child and that it was her prerogative how she managed that relationship. She also said my dad's family are cruel and vindictive. I didn't reply, and honestly, the only reason I don't have her blocked is in case my dad is taken ill suddenly. But now, my dad's saying it's caused issues at home because Lucy is finally grasping that Laura is the one who wouldn't allow her to have a relationship with Dad's side and is now apparently pretty mad about it. Yeah, rightfully so. He's saying the way I went at Laura was inappropriate in front of a child and that Lucy shouldn't have heard all that, but I think she only heard it because her mother was retconning reality. I didn't mean to cause an issue between Lucy and Laura, but honestly, I do feel like Laura was asking for it by acting like an idiot in front of someone who knew the whole story. Yeah, I mean, some people are just very selfish. I understand them not wanting to have a relationship with his new wife. I get that, definitely. But I mean, I see both sides of it. I feel like she's definitely a Karen. And the daughter is just, having to deal with the consequences of that. Unfortunate. Anyways, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. If you liked, like and subscribe. If you didn't, I don't know what to tell you. Peace.